Coming up next on WTOL 11 Your Day, state lawmakers working on legislation with 38 other states moving to put cyberbullying laws in place. We'll hear more about their efforts and how big of a problem we're facing. That's next. Plus, find out about it. Thank you so much, Chris. Bullying is a huge issue for our children, and it's not just face-to-face bullying anymore. Cyberbullying can cause major problems, and we are joined by Tyrone White. He's a coach. He's an author of Parenting a Winner, and thank you for joining us. My first question, how big of a problem is this?
Craig, it's a huge problem. We look at 20% of all kids report at some point, according to national surveys, that they've been bullied. And then another 20% have said that they've been the aggressor online.
And this is developing now with states trying to legislate this and get involved, right? I mean, it's kind of reaching a tipping point in a sense?
It really is. 38 states are moving and pushing for legislation, and Ohio actually is in the throes of starting the sponsorship of a bill to address this.
There was a young woman, a girl in Ohio, who died as a result of bullying, correct?
Actually, yes, in Cincinnati, a young girl who the bill is going to be named after hung herself. Her mother came home and found her hanging in the closet. And then on the eastern part of the state, Mentor High School has had 5 suicides in the past 6 years. So this has tremendous consequences.
So scary to hear. Now how is cyberbullying different from, I don't want to call it old school bullying, but what we were used to as kids and what people have been used to for years?
When you look at the traditional form of bullying, that's face-to-face, easily recognizable, identifiable, and easier to intervene. When you talk about cyberbullying, it takes us back to when we were involved in the Vietnam War. Here you had soldiers fighting side by side or being side by side with people, and then at night, these were the same people that were killing them. When we look at it online, you don't know who the aggressor is. And so the assumption is kids are thinking everybody is involved in attacking them, and also it opens up the venue where people from other places throughout the country and world can get involved.
So in some ways, is it more dangerous than the face-to-face bullying?
I think the consequences are more deadly because it's hard to unroot it. And so it leaves school systems and parents really at a loss. And so that's where we really need to provide training to address these issues.
And you've talked a little bit about the negative effects for an individual, for an individual family dealing with this. How bad can it get, in a sense?
Well, I was just talking to a parent the other day, so distraught that they couldn't go to work as a result of their child being threatened, intimidated, and harassed online. I want to give you one just quick snapshot, because I do a lot of talks on college campuses as well as high schools. You remember the kid that jumped off the bridge in New York City?
Yes.
As a result of being harassed online at Rutgers University. The other equation to this is people get at their victim by surreptitiously videotaping them in compromising positions. They post that stuff online. Lies and rumors are spread. And so it's really also hard for the victim to be able to defend themselves against fact or fiction. And so they themselves suffering from low self-esteem, sometimes even drug use, to deal with these issues.
Okay, so it's a monster problem and the effects can be awful. What can families do? What can kids do to try to get over this, to try to help with this?
The first thing for parents is awareness. And that's one of the biggest challenges because we're not as technologically savvy as our kids. And so we've got to get skills. We've got to train ourselves up. We got to recognize when our children are acting in strange ways. Do they operate with multiple online accounts, which means they could actually be a perpetrator? Or is their behavior changed to the point where they're sad and sullen, which could mean that they're a victim? We've got to educate our children on how to recognize what's appropriate or they're being treated inappropriately.
Is this also a question, if you have a doubt, you need to go onto their page, go onto whatever site it is and try to get any information you can and not be passive about it if you're a parent?
You're absolutely right. And also talk to your children's friends, because a lot of times kids will communicate with their friends before they will their parents. I just want to say this. I do a lot of training like this. I'm going to be at a high school Monday. Schools are liable for not having policies in place. And there are tons of lawsuits out there for school systems, and now we're starting to see that even trickle down to parents being sued if their children are involved in being bullies.
So this is a developing issue. It's getting bigger, and there are ways to fight it, but you need to be aggressive.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Greg.
coming in. That's some such interesting information that we're learning. Now, coming up next,